I was trying to understand the new agents or the new nodes better. So I basically just booted this up in n8n, and I basically just wanted to understand how it works. And I think now I'm starting to realize like exactly how it works. It might be cool, but you have to pay attention to some things. And I'll give you like a single example. I've just asked this agent, can you get the weather for today as well? And basically, it's getting the weather for Cape Town. That's where I'm at, and it's getting the current weather for the current day. That means 12 p.m. And it was able to get like pretty solid weather. And the like how it got this is relatively simple to put up. Like you can set up a single workflow that does this exact type of thing. You put a chat node at the front, and then you say, you type in, get the weather. The next thing you connect is like maybe some kind of AI node that creates the first the URL you're going to. So like the request you're sending to whatever API. I personally use OpenMeteor because like it's free, and I'm going to show you how I actually make it happen. But you construct the URL, and then you send it out maybe through like some kind of HTTP request, and then you analyze it with another AI node, and then finally you output the result. So that would have taken maybe three AI nodes if you actually wanted to stretch it. But this, I just wanted to show you this kind of system with like vertical agents where you could set it up such that it gives you maybe something a bit more interesting that you might actually like, because you don't just like that's one single workflow, but in order for you to have maybe something else that tracks other things, like because this is for a like this is a vertical agent structure for a data collection engine that not only does looks at weather conditions but also looks at like uh, data that's in a database. So it tracks previous matches, it tracks player conditions. I mean, it tracks player uh, performance. It tracks news and media. So and other like opponent data, whether it's through news or through the actual database itself. All of this is like relatively useful data for a an engine, so like an AI that actually helps you come up with tactics for new games that will come up in the future. And this is relatively useful information. Like I feel like because with the weather, you'll understand exactly how to play or how to approach a game, because the weather is like really important. You don't like I know in some fields, especially if you understand how the field has a tendency of like getting messed up over time, especially if it's like raining or if it's windy, or you can use like if you understand the wind's direction, you can use that when creating tactics for a game. And okay, let me just stop yapping. Basically, this is a data collection agent, right? Before, how I was doing this, before the new update to n8n, how I was doing this was I was setting up sub workflows which would allow this data collection agent. So the data collection agent would be in another workflow, and it would have sub workflows under it, which would be on another workflow. But this allowed me to put this in the same workflow. And realistically speaking, I could have actually put this part in the exact same workflow as well. I could have put this under here. I just didn't want that. I didn't want like three agents. I felt like that was just way too much admin right now, especially since I'm going to be connecting these other ones as well. I felt like just having two levels, like two lower levels like this was perfect, because this one will also have levels. Let me just kind of walk you through what I did. So this was the tactical commander. I basically told it, you are the tactical commander. All you have to do is just orchestrate everything, right? You are the orchestrator. You're the one who distributes tasks to everyone beneath you. And here, yeah, it did its job. Connected up a simple memory to it. Actually set the simple memory's context to be like 5 messages, because I don't need it to remember too much. But I needed to remember enough so that I don't have to repeat myself. Here, it's just a normal Google Gemini chat model 2.5, because like we love Gemini over here. Did I just do that? Wow, I just did that. That is so insane. Okay, and yeah, of course, after asking it to give me the weather, it immediately looked at its system prompt. The system prompt is actually really interesting. I could open it up and just check. So, if I were to summarize what this system prompt is going through, it's basically identity, core purpose, and then how it actually orchestrates everything. Sends out tasks and requests, takes anything that comes back to it, summarizes it, and gives it back in a readable, understandable way. um, and then I also give it the sub agents that it's connected to as well. And I also pass it some useful information, which is the current time. The reason why is apparently because the AIs don't know the current time. Can you imagine that? They don't know the time, but they somehow have connection to tools. It doesn't make sense. Generally doesn't make sense. When I was playing around with this, and I'm not actually ashamed to show you this, it passed the date as 2023, which is pretty insane. But yeah, it managed to still get the weather though, so that's very very good, I guess. But still, you know, it's just a testament to the data storage capabilities that Open Meteor has, which is why I like it so much. So after deciding that it had to ask the data collection agent, it basically just passed off the request to the data collection agent, and it sent it off as a prompt user message. It was like, "What is the weather for Cape Town on 2025-08-07 at 12 p.m., which is today, 3 hours ago?" And yeah, this one also has a system prompt, and the system prompt is actually defined for like every single agent beneath it. And I define them as agents because they do have agents connected to them in their little sub workflows, as you saw with this one single weather conditions agent. Um, yeah, I'm also passing the variables that actually need to be passed through, because that's very, very, I think it's like one of the most useful things I've done ever is to just tell it, this is exactly what I need from you. This is the type of what I need, and this is exactly what it means. Um, and you understand this is just for football, so it's like the city or the stadium name, or so on and so forth. All of this is relatively useful information for football analysis, game analysis. We want something that can track matches. We want something that can track players. We want something that can mine information from opponents and opponent gains and so on. And all of that will be connected to a database. It is connected to a database, Superbase. And then we also have, yeah, the orchestration information. So like what it's actually supposed to do, because it too is orchestrating just like the parent. We have the behavior as well, and yeah, we have an example of like how it actually performs. Um, it was able to get this prompt and then understand what to do, and then do exactly as it needed to. All right, after, because like it's also operating on Google Gemini LLM, and it yeah, constructed the request for the weather condition agent, where it passed the location, the time, and the historical information. So now we come in here and we start understanding what's happening here. So understand that this is the third level. We had the tactical commander. We had the data mining agent, which was connected to four agents. So if the tactical commander is like the CEO, the data collection agent is maybe like an, what do you call them? Uh, a supervisor. This would be a manager, and then this would be an employee. Um, so this is the manager of the entire system. Gets all three of those variables and has its own identity because it's connected to its own tools. Of course, this one, you might be wondering why I split it into two, because realistically speaking, I could probably like combine them into one. It's because I wanted a huge amount of, I wanted to limit the uncertainty as much as possible. What I meant by that is What I mean by that is that I wanted to connect it to two tools instead of one. So this second tool is going to be an HTTP request, the one we're sending to OpenMeteor to get the weather data. And this one is going to actually construct the weather API URL that we're going to be using to get the weather data. Uh, and basically, it's literally the exact same thing. Yeah, we want to give it as much information on like what it needs to do, how it needs to solve the problems that it actually gets, and it knows exactly what it needs to do every single time. So after getting the data, it was able to pass it to the right place. Location, Cape Town time, historical is true. And this guy was able to understand. So this guy is defined very differently. This guy understands it. It basically is a URL constructor. It knows that we feed it how to construct URLs. We also feed it information on uh, every other sort of little parameter that it could add on to add more context to the data that we needed to return. This is just tables on tables. All of it is formatted in Markdown, which is it doesn't really make it more readable to the AI as you might imagine. But like I find it easy to just put everything in Markdown because I meta prompt AI to give me system prompts, which I then make better and then meta prompt again and again and again. So everything just ends up becoming in Markdown anyway. Um, so maybe it's just for me, not really for the AI. But yeah, I pass this to the AI, and then it's able to come up with like some like an output over here. And it doesn't really matter how it actually formats this. It's just like in a normal case, you would have maybe required some kind of specific output format and then forced it to like be in JSON with like the URL is the key and the value is the archive.api.openmeteor. But yeah, like as you can tell, it's also searching for the precipitation. Um, yeah, we don't have to do that. Actually, I've tried doing that and it always fails the workflow because the parent is always looking. It just wants text. It just wants the text, so it doesn't need anything else. And then finally, after getting that back, it was able to understand that it needs to send it to get weather. And yeah, it sent the URL formatted literally like as it needs to. We tell it that this is what we want. We want the URL and nothing more. And OpenMeteor returns this bunch of data, which is basically for that entire day and time. Um, and it gives us the wind speeds for like all the times and everything. And we could even get like future data, but that's fine. I didn't actually define the prompt like in a constructively useful way. um, After we get that data, you'll start realizing something over here, and it's the fact that as much as connecting these agents vertically like this, it helps you be able to do a lot more things. It also kind of, because every time data gets fed into AI reinterprets it and then generates tokens that are based on its own understanding. It's like broken telephone. You tell someone something, and then they tell someone else, and then they tell someone else, and they tell someone else. The story by the end of the day might probably be different, which is the exact same with AI. Um, this data is really, really rich. Like this is rich data, but when it gets up to the top level, it ends up becoming just a simple summary, as you see here. It ends up just becoming like a simple summary of just like a temperature 13.6, humidity 76%, partly cloudy with no precipitation and light winds. Um, it's a relatively boring data, but this is so rich, which is it just tells you what you need to know. As much as sometimes AI agents might be useful, if you want your data to be rich, you have to find a way to skip the uh, every single agent call because there's going to be three more calls. It's going to be this one. It's going to be uh, this one, and then this one. So yeah, it's actually it's quite a lot. But when it comes like here, this guy summarizes it and like figures out exactly which data points to pick so that it gives you exactly what you want. Yeah. So vertical edges are great. They are useful, and you can do a lot with them. But you have to watch out about data flow. Uh, are you losing information? Are you gaining information? Or rather, how can you make sure that you retain as much information as possible? I think that's like a very useful question to ask yourself. Beyond this, I'm just going to get back to it, and I'll see you next time.